The latest updates on the fire, that at least 24 people have died. Over 180,000 residents were forced to evacuate. The scale of this emergency is catastrophic. All we've been hearing lately is a bunch of finger-pointing, denial, people running from responsibility, people distracting, deflecting, and a bunch of nonsense that has nothing to do with what I just mentioned. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I don't wish it on anybody. I don't want to just jump in and be about this side or that side. I want to acknowledge those people and the families that were left behind, the families that lost a loved one. I want to take that time, right? Have we been respectful? I think we've been respectful. Have we been meaningful? I'm trying. Now that we've done that, now let's drill down a little further into this cesspool that we call media. Something that I noticed, Black America, is that there are a number of entities making this about race. Yeah, they're floating this idea that if the mayor of Los Angeles was white, nobody would be blaming her. That being a Black woman makes her a target. I don't think that's true. I think lack of preparedness made her a target. And it's not just her, but she's part of the losing team. People have been taking a bite out of Gavin Newsom's ass too. But there's something very strange and peculiar going on with Karen Bass in the media, in the Democrats. And it's something they are very good at. And it's something they've been doing for a long time. And it's something that burns me up. I feel like rock. It burns me up. It burns me up. The way they hide behind blackness. You know, we get all this talk as if they can just use us. Use our story, use our pain, use our struggle. Yes, the historic struggle of Black people in America. I will never be someone that omits that Black people have been through hell in America. We have. This is a fact. And I'm not just talking about slavery. I'm talking about Black codes and Jim Crow and moving on up to Jane Crow and mass incarceration and all the other stigmas that we faced and continue to face. But this is about a fire. This is about 24 people losing their lives, 180,000 people being displaced. This is about mismanagement of a state and of a city with a budget bigger than most third world countries. That's what this is about. When a catastrophe strikes, leaders lead. I have not seen Gavin Newsom nor Karen Bass do much leading. All I heard is a lot of crying, pointing fingers, hiding behind blackness.
Jamil, before we talk sports, I have to ask you about the wildfires raging near your hometown of Los Angeles. You've been very engaged in social media about this tragedy. One fire broke out less than 5 miles from your house before firefighters contained it. First, how are you doing? I got to ask about your mom. And how is the community holding up?
Well, you know, my mother loves you, Reverend Al. And right now, she's actually, I just got word of this, unfortunately, like an hour ago. She's actually in the hospital dealing with a medical issue that we're still waiting to figure out what's going on. And I will very much pass on what I'm sure would be your prayers and warm wishes to her.
Absolutely.
But in terms of like what things have been like here, I mean, the best way to describe it is that everybody has been on edge. I mean, I'm lucky enough to live in a neighborhood that's probably about 35 minutes from the Pacific Palisades in the Malibu area. But the way these fires are moving, they're just very unpredictable. And I live next to a state recreation area that also is surrounded by oil fields. And so when the residents over here heard about that fire, as these other fires were raging, naturally, we were all deeply concerned. In addition to receiving these evacuation warnings, both of which that turned out to be false. So it's just a very harrowing time. But I'm encouraged by the fact that the city of Los Angeles has pulled together. And I just want to take this opportunity to remind people, listen, the celebrities that lost their homes in Malibu and also in the Pacific Palisades, those have been the headlines. But I want people to understand that everybody in LA isn't a millionaire. Everybody isn't a celebrity. And there have been some other neighborhoods, other cities, Altadena, Pasadena, especially Altadena, which has one of the historically Black communities, a thriving community where over 1,000 structures have been burned. And what saddens me is that because people have focused so much on the celebrity and their losses, that's allowed a lot of people to not have empathy for what's happening to people.
Okay, I want to give her credit for this because that's why I wanted to take time at the beginning of this, not because I saw this clip, because this is not the part of the clip that I saw. But I wanted to take space or make space to show my support and condolences for those people that are going through that, because she's absolutely right here. We got to call balls and strikes. She's absolutely right that there are regular working class or Americans that are not celebrities, that are not multi-millionaires, that live in surrounding areas there that are very much impacted. So we're not just talking about James Woods, and it was a couple other celebrities I saw, that lost their homes. There was a couple others that were on the top of my head, but I forget exactly what they were. But there were a number of celebrities that were saying they had to leave their homes. Throw a shout out a name if you know a name. So I appreciate that from her. But this is not the part that I have a problem with. Let's keep going.
Here in Los Angeles. But there are, and that's not to say that the celebrities don't deserve empathy. Just because you're rich doesn't mean that you won't, that you deserve your home being burned down. And so there's just been this general. Okay, let's stop right here. Now, see, it's soon.
See what I go through? The moment that I'm being considerate, the moment that I try to play fair, I get her saying something that contradicts what she just said. It's not about no one deserves their home to be burnt down. You don't need to say just because you're rich, you don't deserve that. Who was that line for? Why would you need to say no one deserves to have their house burned down, even if you have money, no one deserves that, and blah, blah. Who is she talking to right now? Rich friends like Al, who knows her so well, he can ask about her mom. It's not about good people, bad people when it comes to fires. It's about who has the money to rebuild, who has the money to just move somewhere else, who has multiple homes. That's the issue. Someone said, Tim Black, a lot of people that live in that area are nomadic because they expect fires. They have what's known as fire seasons. It's fire season. So a lot of people there who have means, out of town anyway, they know what time it is. They know it's fire season. They got out there in their Miami home or their New York penthouse home or wherever else they usually go because they have multiple homes. So when we talk about, it's not just about having money, folks, it's about having resources and options. It's not the physical possession of multiple digits in your checking account or bank account or in your investments. It's about the flexibility and the resources and stability that affords you. So Jamel Hill, for her to say, even rich people don't deserve this, it's kind of juvenile because we're not dumb enough to think anybody deserves a natural disaster. It's that some people bounce back quicker and some people don't need to bounce because they already did. Let's keep going.
Attitude that, you guys are rich, you can recover. And they couldn't be further from the truth. A lot of very hardworking people have lost their homes, and many of them will not get them back. That's what people have to understand.
And the area, one of the areas you talked about was a historic Black area passed down from generations of families. But while we're talking about wildfires, you came to the defense of LA Mayor Karen Bass in the comments of a blog posted involving Khloe Kardashian on Instagram. Chloe bashed Bass. She blasted Mayor Bass for calling her a, quote, joke over her handling of the infernos. But you say she's, quote, ill-informed. What exactly is she wrong about, Khloe Kardashian? And what do you make of the reaction to the fires online, where the disaster is being blamed on everything from DEI to endangered fish?
Look, I understand part of this is natural human reaction. This is a catastrophe here in Los Angeles like no one has seen before. And automatically people want to find somebody to blame. It is what it is. But what I would encourage everybody who's watching this program right now to do, Google Khloe Kardashian and the Kardashians and water usage. You'll find some very interesting information because their family alone, the amount of water they use is so excessive that it was a news story, a big news story here in Los Angeles.
I thought you just said there wasn't a good idea to blame anyone. You just said that Khloe Kardashian, and look, I'm not capable for Khloe Kardashian. All I'm trying to do is be a little consistent here. She just said that Khloe Kardashian is wrong to blame the mayor. She just said she's wrong to blame the mayor for how the mayor responded. And of course, the mayor is not just one individual. The mayor has help. The mayor has a staff. The mayor has people that report to the mayor. When you blame the mayor, you're not blaming just the mayor, you're blaming her office. You're blaming the people under her. Karen Bass hasn't been mayor forever, but she's been mayor long enough that she should know if she has an effective staff or an ineffective staff. But it's just hypocritical as hell, which is not something you can really point out with the Democrats, because if you point out hypocrisy often, you'll get very redundant because you're going to come up against incident after incident of hypocrisy. So just be clear here. She defends Mayor Bass and says that you should not blame her, and then proceeds to blame Khloe for the fire. I can't make this shit up. This is what you do when you try to defend very rich people. And by the way, why is Jemele Hill defending a politician? I'm just asking. Why are citizens defending the politician against citizens? I know we don't think about that much. We don't usually discuss it. But I'm just saying, why is a citizen defending a government employee, a state employee that works for the citizens, against other citizens? It's just weird. When if the cop beat up on you, if a cop beats the hell out of Tim Black, I would hope that my neighbors defend me, not the cop, and say, well, cops gotta, sometimes cops gotta try out their batons on people's face. It's okay, Like, I'm just saying, it's like the citizens should be defending the citizens. We should be looking at the power structure. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe I'm not making sense. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Just seems a little weird. I know how I get, okay?
So I find that her comments to call out Mayor Bass, and especially in a moment where people are just trying to survive, and you are one of the most glamorous, privileged families in this city. And so for her to call Mayor Bass a joke, it's just not the time for that. Listen, we don't know the source of these fires. It's so much information that we don't have, so much misinformation that has been allowed to really pollute this issue online. Between the back and forth between the fire department. Look, the fire chief herself said that even with however you want to frame these cuts, because the fire department did receive a raise, all right, I want everybody to understand that. There was $17 million cut from the budget. Then there was another $50 million that they received in raises and salary because they were in the process of negotiation when this city budget happened. Right. The fire chief herself said okay, on television that 17 million had nothing to do with why they were unable to fight these fires. The truth is sometimes very unsexy,
Right.
and that's what people don't like.
She's categorically wrong about that. She's absolutely categorically wrong in that statement. That's the opposite of what was said by the fire chief. The fire chief said, yeah, that $17 million would have helped. Anytime any removal of resources is a bad thing when it comes to what we have to do when we have to fight fires. That's what was said. I don't know if Jamel was covering football or basketball at the time and wasn't paying attention. Maybe she was assisting her mom. I don't know. Maybe she was DMing Al and got caught up reminiscing about the last time she was on this show, looking for ways to stay relevant, kissing ass for some Democratic candidate or something. But I'm just saying, but let's be clear, guys. We've been covering this. I've been covering this. The fire chief, Crawley, her name is Kristen Crawley. She emphatically said, under direct questioning on CBS with Nora O'Donnell, that, yes, $17 million makes a difference. For this person to say salary bump, a salary bump that I don't even know if they got, but that's not people. See, the $17 million goes to resources and equipment and personnel. Getting a raise does not increase personnel. That's a raise for the fire person. So I don't know what she's talking about. Let's let her finish up, and then we'll be able to go from pillar to post on her nonsense.
The truth is, we had winds that were 100 miles an hour. A municipal water system that is not equipped to fight four to six major fires at one time, because people have to understand the same water the fire department gets is the same one the residents use. All right, so they are not. There's no water system in the country that is equipped to handle a fire of this magnitude. And that is the facts, right? Yeah. And so there will be time to assess Mayor Karen Bass's performance. I don't know if now in real time, as information is coming in and as we're trying to understand that information, if now is the time. And I don't judge Karen Bass.
Certainly we need to have people that's concerned, but let's have our priorities right, and let's also not come from a privileged perch and not deal with what's happening on the ground for everybody, as you said. But let's turn back to the NFL.
Yeah, let's turn back to that, because you screwed the pooch on this one, babe. You ain't say anything, Miss Hill, that was actually, I mean, you started off when you were being gracious for like 2 seconds. That made sense, but the rest of that was a bunch of gibberish. Let's correct you. You said something like, now's not the time to talk about the performance of Karen Bass. And I'd like to know, when is the time exactly? When the narrative is switched and it's not her fault? I think that's probably the time you think it would be adequate. See, I think it's adequate for people that are, impacted by what they feel is a lack of a dereliction of duty. When people feel like they've been neglected, when they feel like they are being devastated by what's happened, regardless of who it is, whether it's the Kardashians or the Simpsons or the Robinsons or the Daltons or whoever they are who live there. They got every right to voice their opinion and express themselves. I don't think that Jemele Hill would be on a program defending a Republican mayor. I just don't think so. I also don't think she would be on a program defending anyone or calling out rich Democrats. Yeah, so that makes it. She also said the harshest language that Khloe Kardashian used is dismissive, but she said that Karen Bass was a joke. She's a joke. Her office is a joke. They're not doing anything. That to me is very PG. That's G-rated. That's G-rated criticism. You don't want to hear what other people are saying. I mean, if you can't take someone saying, hey, Karen Bass, her administration, how they handle this is a joke. Like, that is being nice. Because what I'm hearing people say is a lot more vicious. How about MF and Joe? How about a horrible, one of the worst Mario performances since Tiffany Henyard? Okay, so look, hey, she says we don't know enough. That's another point. Miss Hill says we don't know enough right now. Like, we can't make an assessment. Hey, people do know that the fire could have been contained better. That did you know that there are 62? The police chief has asked for 62 more fire stations. 62. And that they were not put in place. Do you not know that there were hundreds, if not thousands, I think it's called police apparatuses fire department apparatuses. And according to one of my commenters, this apparatus is the breathing equipment and other tools that firefighters use in order to go in and fight fires that aren't working, that are not there to be used at this time. Then there was the laying off of mechanics who service these equipments. The list goes on. So what I'm saying is there are things that were missing that if they were in place, they would have been able to be more responsive to the fires. And you know what? I don't much care if Karen Bass is on the hot seat. This happens. Sometimes you get the short end of the stick. Sometimes you step in it. Sometimes it ain't your fault, but a bad thing happens and you're in the spot and it's your job to mitigate it, solve it, work through it. And instead of solving it and working through it, you know what Karen Bass did? She ran to Africa. Now, I don't know if this was a pre-planned event or if this was an emergency travel that she needed to do. But like I said before, in LA, this is called the fire season. Fire season. Karen Bass went on vacation during the fire season. I've been hearing people complain about Trump, how much time Trump spent golfing. I've heard people complain about Biden, who spent more time than Trump out of the office. It is Delaware, whatever spot. People complain about that all the time. What you should not do is be out of pocket during a potential natural disaster time for a new mayor, and she was. In fact, the only worst mayor that I can think of that comes to mind right now is Brandon Johnson out of Chicago. But that guy sucks. But what I'm hearing about Bass is not good. It's not good at all. And this is not because she is a black woman. This is because her performance sucks. You know what would have been great is if Karen Bass would have stepped in front of the cameras, stepped up, and been a leader here. That's all I want to see. And if she did that, if she stepped up and said, hey, I'm a leader. I'm going to lead this. I'm going to resolve this. I won't sleep. I won't take a break. We're going to stay on top of this. And spoke in a way that gave people confidence and then moved in that direction. People are not seeing her activity, her disposition, and actual effective, tangible results that she is asserting anything, that she's got her arms around it, that she's moving forward. Instead, I saw a clip where the reporter was asking her about what she was going to do, and she was silent for 3 minutes. Or worse, she does this.
The way they are moving, the unpredictability of how they're moving, the swiftness with how they're moving, you are not going to outrun these fires. If you stay, you're going to die in them, and it's not worth it. So if you're told to evacuate, get the hell out. Save yourselves. You can rebuild because we are going to rebuild. We also, I think, have to be mindful of the risks that will follow these fires, and that is when the rains come and the risk of mudslides. So I say,
I'm trying to figure out what Karen Bass is smiling about. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but describing how people need to evacuate and how people can lose their lives, I don't know what there is to smile about. Do you see anybody else smiling in that video? If you saw someone talking about an event that cost the lives of 24 of your citizens, you're the mayor, these are your people. Would right now be a time to be smiling on camera while people are around you looking glum and glum? She's the only one with a smile on her face. Nobody else is smiling. Does that sound like, or does that appear to you? Be fair. Come on, be fair. Does that seem like somebody who has all their dishes in the sink? Does it? It don't sound like somebody who's got all their dishes in the sink. I'm sorry. Some of them dishes is left on top of the nightstand in your son's room or your daughter's, under the bed of your daughter's bedroom. Something's going on. Some of the babies must have threw them in the trash along with their plates. That's what they do sometimes. I had to buy so many forks and spoons, Jesus Christ. But you understand what I'm saying. Once again, folks, who does this? What would you call somebody that's smiling at a press conference about the dead? What would you call this person? What would you call somebody smiling at a press conference about evacuations and mudslides, the potentiality of mudslides? What would you call somebody who did that? I don't know. A joke? Oh, but you're not supposed to say that. Look, this is how this works, y'all. Whenever a black man is calling out a black woman, there are people, particularly black folks, that want to say that black man's gone too far. He shouldn't do it. But guess what? Ain't nobody else gonna do it, man. And I'm calling her out on behalf of us. You understand? Because the collective of black people, we're more important than one singular black woman who's not doing her damn job. Okay? So we need to move beyond just say, well, you know, a black man shouldn't be saying this about a black woman. Well, you know what? A black woman who would do a job so badly that requires anyone to have to address her to this extent deserves all the smoke. If you're going to be smiling at a press conference like this, in this climate, after losing an election, the way you did against the Republicans, you had to know people would be coming for you. I don't think Karen Bass is ready for the job. I don't know how she got it. I know she got endorsed by a number of people. I saw a clip. I don't know where that clip is. LA Times just rescinded their endorsement of her. Not because she's black, but because the job she's doing sucks. And they should rescind their endorsement of Gavin Newsom. But I don't even know if they endorse Gavin Newsom. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So back to my point. I want to hopefully make myself clear here. I'm down for supporting a sister that supports us. How much longer, how many years you think we're going to go before there'll be another black woman as mayor of LA with the performance that Karen Bass is putting up? I think it may take a while. Do you think Karen Bass should be held accountable for that? Or if any attempt to hold her accountable for making this situation worse than it has to be, yeah, that's a problem. I think she should be held accountable. It ain't my job to defend her. I don't work for her, but I can tell you this, I do work for us. And if I'm working for us, I will call out anyone who does shit like this. It is a righteous call out. I'm not talking about her family. I'm not disparaging her name. I'm not dragging her through the dirt. This is not a Charleston White rant. But this is saying, what the hell, folks? What the hell is so funny? Now, if she was a white woman smiling, while the residents, as Al just described, black folks in Altadena had to evacuate and leave all their shit behind, we don't have a problem about it. we'd all be pissed. We'd be like, who is this heifer up on this snag? But since it's Karen Bass, we got Jamel Hill up here running defense, running offense, running interference. Well, I say, as long as we had a Democratic Party using blackness, defending the worst actions by throwing blackness in front of it and saying, but she's black, I think we need to call it out. You know what? It's going to be my job. Part of my job. That's part of my job. It's not my whole job, but it's part of my job. Because when you take advantage of and use my historical pain, the historical pain of my ancestors, of my family, my friend, my forefathers, in order to ingratiate yourself, in order to defend yourself when you haven't done the damn job, you don't get to do that. Always throwing up that mess about black people died, so this, so that, so the other thing. When it serves them. You know what else? Black people died not to be mocked during death by actions like this, by a heifer that can't even have a straight face at a press conference about the worst natural disaster in the history of Los Angeles. What kind of training do you need to know now's not the time to how hard is this? How hard is it to do that? All right, let's keep going. Yeah, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started here, folks. But since we're moving right along, guys, hit the like button. Hit the like button if anything I say makes sense. You don't defend black people who are doing the wrong thing that are hurting black people. That's all I'm saying. That's my point. And to that point, and this is one of the reasons why I get so pissed off with the Democratic Party. Because that's what they do. They use Karen Bass. They don't give a damn about Karen Bass. They care about the Democratic Party. As long as they can use her to deflect away and say any criticism of how Los Angeles handled these wildfires, they'll use her and put her out front.